Welcome back to my channel, Miss Personal Finance, where we are budgeting our way to financial freedom. In today's video, we're going to do the monthly budget closeout for the month of October. So let's get started. Okay, so on the first, we went ahead and transferred $5,200 into our checking account from our 1 month ahead savings. If you are not yet 1 month ahead, I definitely recommend. It does take some time to save up an entire month's worth of expenses, but at the end of the day, it is absolutely worth it. So there was no change there. So that was at $5,200. Now, sometimes we have additional income that comes from multiple sources like self-employment or rental income, if we sell anything randomly online. So this month we had two things. So for additional income, had a total of $300. And then whenever we pull from our sinking funds, it's not really income, it's really inflow, because we had already earned this money, we had already saved it, and we're just pulling it out in the time that we need it. So that was $149. Okay. So actually, I budgeted nothing for these and the actual. So yeah, we never budget for any additional income because we never know if and when we're going to get it and for what amount. Sometimes it just stays in our business account to address business expenses. So we don't always have that on a monthly basis that rolls over to our household budget. So if we do the math here, this is $5,200. I have to wipe that out. Okay, so this month we were working with a little more, and that is going to be $5,649. So let's see where all of it went. First and foremost, we always, right off the top, save or invest. We pay ourselves first, and your future self will thank you for it. For mortgages, is all the household related items. That was exactly the same. So for internet, I think this is pretty high just for internet alone, nothing else. Oh, actually that came in a little lower. It always comes in, or it doesn't always, it has been coming in slightly lower when I call in. If there was an outage or anything like that, you do have to manually pick up the phone to do it, but it's better than nothing until I can find another provider. It's just limited in the area because there are only like two to choose from. And this is the lesser of the two evils at the time being. So, all right, so for childcare, this actually came in a little lower this month, so that's good. So I'm gonna put that in the green, and that came out to $968. For our subscriptions, that's always pretty low. We only have two, so that's about $10. For utilities, this is electricity and water. We pay the same amount every month. We do our own budget billing. We took the average from the previous year, and this has been working out. It averages out. We have extra in the account on lower months, and it adds up to cover the higher months. So our fixed expenses actually vary more than our variable expenses do, but they're staples and they don't really go anywhere, so I definitely want to put them under the fixed expense category. But you can do whatever works for you and your household budget. And 270. Okay, instead of the 32.23, we are at 31.88, which is below budget. Good thing. So for our student loan, I know I have budgeted $500 here. That used to be the amount last year, but it's pretty much been on a servicer forbearance for the year, and I believe it's going to remain so for the remainder of the year until we find out what happens next year. So this is under budget, but is that really a good thing? I'm just going to put the actual. So we do try to pay a little bit just so that it can go toward interest. And that was below budget with a total of $100 paid. That's our only household debt at the moment. So we are going to have to increase that once this servicer forbearance is over. But for right now, we are just doing about $100 a month to help stave off some of the interest that's accruing. All right, so moving over to our variable expenses. For this month, we had a couple of things that came up. So for sinking funds, we actually ended up putting a little bit more in. And that came up to about $462, which is good for a month. But actually that went entirely toward our auto insurance 6-month renewal. So as you can see, there are some things that we don't have on our monthly budget at all that you rarely see, like a phone bill, auto insurance, a lot of subscriptions. Most of those things we just pay once a year. So we have a sinking fund and we save up throughout the year. So everything that I throw into the sinking funds category goes into one of those buckets with my Ally account. So I can separate each one and put a due date on it. And we just pay it once a year, including our phone, because we have Mint Mobile. That's just easier for us. It works for our family and our household budget, and also definitely recommend. So the lowest you can have your monthly expenses, the better you are able to manage them. And if something comes up, you have a little bit of a buffer because you don't have so many expenses that are due within that 31 day period. So it works for us. Now, like I said about our variable expenses, they actually are pretty fixed because we just allow them to roll over. So the exact amount goes in. So there's no difference here, but you can see if you track our usage within the accounts, you can see that some months we go over, some months we're a little below, but because of that rollover, kind of like our budget billing, it just covers the highs and lows. So I would also recommend that. So for our additional expenses for the month, a couple of things came up. We had a pull from our household or home maintenance sinking fund, and that was for some like wood or lumber for the house. I guess I'll just put lumber. We didn't budget anything, but we were able to pull the amount of the $149 from our sinking funds. We also had the 2 personal events that came up. I'm just gonna put events. That was at $150. And then with the additional income, we actually, I don't always cash stuff. That's not something that I do regularly since we are mainly digital online budgeters, but we did have about $300 that we were able to cash stuff with. Okay, so our variable expenses, the budget amount was $1,477, but with everything that was going on, that actually came up to $2,000. That's over budget. So we're going to do $2,261. So I have not been doing the math as I go along, so I am just hoping that this is correct. So for our fixed expenses, we have below budget at $3,188. Variable expenses were above what we had at $2,261. This is below budget even though I don't think that's a good thing, but we're just going to put it in green. Anyway, so let's see how much we had left. So out of the $56.49, we took out fixed expenses, variable expenses, debt, and remaining we had $100 left. I think this is the second time in a row that we have had just $100 left. I think it's because I always consciously try to save at least an additional $100 every month. And I kind of try to bake that into my budget whenever I have extra funds. And with a zero-based budget, you do want to make sure that every dollar has an assignment, has a job, has a place to go. So I think I kind of like our savings or an investment in paying ourselves first. Even with the extra funds, if I am trying to save something, I kind of mentally put that to the side. And then anything extra kind of just rolls over into our sinking funds, because you're always going to need money for expected and unexpected things that come up. So not too bad for the month of October. I think we did pretty well given the additional income and not really overspending, even though these things kind of came up. That sinking fund really did help. And it does help so that it doesn't blow your budget on a month where something unexpected comes up. So if you can, always try to allocate something to your sinking funds. We know some months can get a little tight and additional things can come up, but whenever you can, save for that rainy day, because it is definitely going to come, whether we like it or not. So that's all for this video. Comment below if you had a good October budget. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And remember, whatever you put your energy and focus toward, you're bound to see progress.